Okay, so now it's officially 11 o'clock. I can start. So, welcome. How's everyone doing? Are your brains full yet? They will be. I've never gone to a conference where by the end of it I'm like, I'm done learning for the week. It's just so much going on. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Guy Royce, and I work for Pillar Technologies as a consultant. And we write code and Agile Transform and stuff like that. And they let me come to conferences like this and speak about things that I like, as long as I do one thing at the talk, and that's when I say we're hiring. But you guys knew that already, so enough of that. I've been working in the JavaScript space for a few years now. I run the Columbus JavaScript user group, and so I get to get exposed to lots of cool technology, and Meteor is one of them. And I think Meteor is a particularly cool one. How many people have heard of Meteor before this talk? Raise your hands. Okay, so a lot of you. Who's actually done something with it? Who's messed around with it? Anyone? Okay. Anything beyond Hello World kind of stuff? Yeah, we're one step beyond Hello World, and that's about it. That's the goal here. This is an introduction to Meteor, so you can see what it's all about. What do you guys, are there any preconceived ideas about what Meteor is or isn't? What do you guys, when I say Meteor, what do you guys think it is?
Another flavor of Angular, maybe?
Another flavor of Angular. Yeah, that's what I thought too. It's absolutely wrong, by the way. What's that? It does everything on the client end. That's wrong too. Yeah. Everyone's going to stop raising their hands here in a minute. I don't know what you guys are going to tell me I'm wrong. Yeah.
Kind of like Angular data binding, except it's binding from server side to client side instead of JavaScript.
Yeah, I think that might be. There's a degree of that. Full disclosure, I have not done a lot of Angular. I haven't done a lot of Ember, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. Yeah. I have watched some talks on the topic, so I know a little bit about them. And Meteor is none of those things. So we all know what Backbone is, right? I actually have done Backbone recently. And Backbone is a library. People joke that it's a library that people build their frameworks with because it's just kind of provides a little bit of key functionality, but you can build on top of that and make a nice framework. Ember.js and Angular are more frameworks, so they're a little more invasive to your application. They suggest or insist that you write your application in a particular way, much in the way that like Rails does. Meteor takes it a step further and is an entire platform to build your application on. It is the server, it is the client, it dictates the database that you will use. It dictates the templating engine that you will use. Now, it's still got some configuration options. You're not 100% locked into everything, but like I don't know how to make it talk to anything other than MongoDB on the back end. And honestly, there's not a compelling reason to do that anyhow. So it makes a lot of assumptions for you. It's a platform-based thing. Runs on top of Node, like a lot of these good frameworks. And it's running on the server and the client. So it's not client-side. Angular is client-side, and then you do something in the back end. Ember is client-side, and then you build your back end with REST APIs. And so it's all focused in the browser. Meteor runs in the browser and in the server. And in fact, sometimes the same code will run in both places. And you start losing track of where the code actually is running because it just makes it all seamless. Let's see what I got here in my notes. But ultimately, it's a platform for building single-page applications like Angular and like Ember. It uses handlebars on the front end. It's got a bunch of built-in features, functionality too, so that you don't have to mess with things like authentication. So if you want to have a login via Twitter button, there's built-in functionality to do that. You don't have to write it. You have to write a very little, it's like 3 lines of code and a button, and you're logging into your app via Twitter. If you want to have your own credential management, that's built in as well, and you do lots of the OAuth type implementations for authentication. It's got built-in libraries for making HTTP requests. so that you can make, they're not really AJAX requests because they might be running on the server. But you do gets and posts and that kind of stuff. It has built-in email, so you can just send an email and it just sends it on the server side. So a lot of convenience things. So if you want to build a real web app, you can just put it all together. But its coolest feature of all is that it has live updates. So if you, yes you, I'm looking at you, are on a Meteor app, and you are on a Meteor app, the same page, and you add a record that he's looking at, that record will, or if you're at a record that he's got a query that selects, you're adding a record will update his screen automatically with that new record. If you change that record, you'll see the changes immediately. If someone external to the Meteor application shoves something in the Mongo database that query would pull out, then it updates automatically to all clients. And that's kind of cool. And you don't have to write any code to make it happen. That's just what it does. You don't have to add any special code. And so that's a real powerful platform to build an application on. So it's got a lot of popular frameworks built in as well. Like jQuery is built in. If you want to use CoffeeScript, you can do that. Underscore is built in. And you can add things like Bootstrap very easily if you like the Comic Sans of the internet. Did I just diss Bootstrap? Yes, I did. In all fairness to Bootstrap, because I am recording this, if you have no design skills whatsoever and you bootstrapify your site, it's going to look better than anything you're going to come up with on your own. So, I've done that. Yeah, you can all make fun of the CSS that I created for this app when I show it to you. So today I'm just going to do a show and tell and show you how to build a bootstrap. Build a Meteor application from the ground up. So, you guys ready? And then one rule when I'm coding, or when I'm presenting in general, is the rule I always have, is interrupt me. So if you got a question, just raise your hand or shout it out. If you see me make a mistake when I'm coding, call me out on it. And if I flounder on a mistake and can't figure it out while you guys are watching me code, I'm going to mock you all for not helping me for not being an effective pairing partner. So pair programming for the win. So let's get started. So creating a Meteor application is about as easy as it gets. I'm here. Let me go up to the directory I want to be in. Meteor. And you install Meteor using Node Package Manager. So if you're familiar with Node and Node Package Manager, it's just npm install -g Meteor. So very easy to get. So if you want to create a Meteor application, say Meteor, create, and the application name. We're going to make Killing Dinos. Hit enter. And it says to run your new app, change directory to Killing Dinos, and then type Meteor. Now I'm going to background it because I want to show it in the background so if I want to touch some files or whatnot. And that will start a server. And I promise. There we go. The app is running at localhost port 3000. And if I go to localhost port 3000, there's my app. Now, if you all go to localhost port 3000, you will not get to my machine. But if you go to my IP address, which is right here, and go to port 3000, you will see the same app running. And I want you to do that. I'll take a minute and let you do that. You have to be on, I'm on the conference network, so you need to be on the same conference network. You can't be on like the Galt House guest, you need to be on the conference one. And I tried doing this with my iPhone, and I had problems getting my iPhone to connect to it. I don't know why. So, yes, sir. Oh, sorry, yeah. Let me make it a little bigger here. Oops. There, can you read it now? Okay. You may have some trouble seeing the code, and I apologize. I can't, like I was saying when I was getting set up, if I make it the text editor much larger, I'm not going to be able to actually see my code to type. So who all is seeing the app? What's that? Yeah, I use the GH conference. So go ahead and get that all figured out. But I'm going to show you how everything's hot swappable while we're doing that. Does everyone have the IP address that needs it, like written down, or can I go ahead and make it go away? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and make it go away. If that's not okay, someone will scream. No. My internet's. Okay, so you can see here we created 3 files, which are imaginatively named killingdinos.css, killingdinos.html, and killingdinos.js. We could split these up into lots of files. What Meteor does is it takes all the files that are in that folder and smushes them all together, and then delivers one package down. So I could have 10 JavaScript files, and it would smush them all into one file and serve it down. And it'd be smart enough to know what was server and client side and do that intelligently. So if, say, you had a secret key on server side, it wouldn't show up in your client side code. So let me go ahead and launch VI. And so we can actually look at what these files are. There we go. I hope that's big enough. So here's a CSS file. It's very exciting. Here's the HTML file. So you can see the HTML files are all smushed together as well. You can see we have a head defined here. It's got a title of Killing Dinos. The body renders a template called hello using handlebars here. Here's our hello template. And it has an H1 that says hello world, has a greeting, and then has an input button. If we look at our JavaScript, here we have if Meteor is client, then run all this code. If Meteor is server, startup. This code here actually doesn't do anything, so I'm going to delete it. And so if you look in here in the HTML, you'll see this greeting, and you see the template name hello. If you go into killingdinos.js, you'll see there's the template name, there's greeting, and then there's a function. And so whatever that function returns is what gets rendered by the template. And that's pretty straightforward. So if I change this to, say, hello, Yucatan. That's where the big meteor hit. So, and I save it. Oops. Then you can see that my web page updated, and if anyone's pointing this app, you should have saw it on your browser as well. Now it's a little small there, but it updated it after I saved the code file. Now this is hideous markup. So I have created a markup file already that will make this look sort of nicer. Not as nice as Bootstrap, but a little bit nicer. And since this isn't about CSS, I'm just going to copy it over. You don't want to see me live code a CSS. That would be watching me Google everything all the time. So I'll copy that over, and boom, it updated. So the code is hot all the time. Everything's hot to pull level. You make a change, it happens immediately. It's kind of cool. The other thing that's on this is a button. It says click. All right? Doesn't look like it's doing much. So here we have that template name again, hello, and we have an events function. And what we do is we hand that an object which consists of an event and a selector, and then a function to run when that happens. So in this case, when I click input, if you look at the HTML, this is the only input tag on there. So if I click the only input tag, if I click any input tag, then, and if there's a console defined, then it will say you press the button in the console. And if you go out here and look in the console, you press the button. I know that's very small, but you can see it changing at least. So that's a real basic. This is just the generated Meteor app out of the box. So, any questions so far? You follow me? Good. It's pretty straightforward. So you saw me edit the HTML. You saw me paste a new CSS. But it also works in functions. So I don't actually want to say hello world. I want the hello world and the hello Yucatan to both be driven by code. So I'm going to add to the HTML, I'm going to go ahead and create a template. I'm going to rename this template header. Header, there we go. And we'll have a header because we're all HTML5. And we'll do an H group because even though it's not part of the spec anymore, it's too late. And then we got H1 and H2. And H2 is going to be this greeting here, which I totally shouldn't have used the shift key on. And then we'll get rid of this button. And then we'll close our header tag here. Okay, so what happened to my greeting? There is no method called greeting because I changed the header name, the template name. The template is now called header. So let's add a header. Rename that to be header. We don't need that. There we go. So I don't like the word greeting. I'm going to call it a tagline. And I'm going to shove the hello world here to be a title. So right now there's nothing coming in there. So I'll code those functions. Call this the title. And we'll add another template header, tagline equals function. If I make a typo and I don't get to it right away, totally call me out on it. That's in my best interest. Killing all the dinos. Cool. So, of course, these functions can do more than just return hard-coded values, because that's not terribly useful. They can also return data. Now, of course, the challenge is that I can't show you any data until I shove some data into the Mongo database. So I'm going to code the insert, and it's going to be a little boring, because you'll see the button and you can click it, but nothing will happen. And then we'll code the data, write the code to actually read that data out. Sound good? Look at my cheat sheets here. I'm not actually smart enough to code this off the top of my head. So I'm going to create another template called body. I really hate how VI thinks this is HTML and then keeps changing. He gets confused by the double curly braces, doesn't realize I'm doing handlebars. So there's a new template. And then the body is going to render It's a section, HTML5. And it's going to render the add dinos template, add dino template. And I'm doing this a little bit ahead because there's going to be stuff that we're going to add to that. So, and we'll create another template here. Name equals add dino. And this is going to get a form element on it. Div stop helping. So we got two inputs on here. Input ID equals dino to add. So this will be a text box, and we'll give it placeholder text of add a dino. And we'll add a button. ID equals add dino. Type equals button. Value equals add. Now I save that, and we should there. So we've got got some text. We added some HTML, automatically rendered. Who all is actually able to see this live update on their machines? Good. So okay, good number of you. Excellent. And so we'll put in, like, whatever dinosaur we want. We hit the add button. But right now it's not going to do anything because I haven't actually written any code to do anything. So let's go write some code, because HTML is not code, right? Yes, it is. So on here, we got the template add dino dot events, and then when we click, what was the idea I put on that? Is add dino. Call this function. All right? And this function is going to add a dinosaur to a collection. So, but to do that, we have to define a collection. And that is very simple. We say var dinos equals meteor dot collection equals new meteor dot collection, sorry. And then the table name, or well, I guess it's not the table name. What do you call the things in MongoDB? They're not tables, but they're collections. Oh yeah, it's just collection. What do you call those things again? So we'll say dead dinos. No, doomed dinos. And so that basically creates a collection object from Meteor that allows us to then query that collection and add things to that collection. And so then down here, we can use that. And so this is really easy to do. You'll notice it's not inside this Meteor.is client. That needs to be running on both the client and the server. Meteor has this application they call Mini Mongo. It's Mongo running in your local browser. And then there's Mongo running on the server. And then it has some sort of giant hot sync button which makes this thing synchronize. So sometimes when you have an application like this, and it updates in real time, but there'll be a delay. So I'll make a change here, and then about 3 seconds later it'll propagate, so if there's lag on the network. And it compensates for that by having local copies of that data. So you make a change locally, your application responds immediately, and then everyone else's updates later. And then the same thing happens on the other side. I learned that watching the video on the Meteor site. Because I'm smart. So we need to add that dinosaur. So look at my cheat sheet here. So it's fairly straightforward. Just do dinos.insert, and then the record you want to insert. All right, so I could type a dinosaur in here, but I want that to be dynamic. So I'm going to say var input equals, and I'm going to use jQuery here because I have jQuery, and I want to pull in a hash of dino to add. There. So that's now I'm querying the DOM. Basic jQuery. We all know this, right? I hope I just didn't alienate someone by saying that. But basic jQuery selector, I pull out that input element. And then in here, I want to say input.val. I don't need that, semicolon. And that's all you need to do in insert. Now I also, yes I am, thank you. I also, if that's all I do, let me go ahead and save that. And I add a dinosaur, say, any favorites? I'm going to go Cobalt. You see the problem here, right? My text box didn't clear out, so I need to clear it out. What's going to happen is when I get the code to do this show, there's going to be like 6 copies of Cobalt in there now. So now if I do that, and I put in a dinosaur, like say, I was going to go with VB6, but, oh, yeah, this is just reading it. Thank you. Here I was worried I was going to make a mistake. Oh, yeah, it's loading, okay. I just added it. Okay, so then we'll do Fortran now. We'll call Fortran.net. Fortan. There we go. Now it's clearing it out. So, it's just basic jQuery UI stuff, but the main thing here that's interesting is line 16. And what you're inserting in there is just a JavaScript object. So it can have depth, it can have arrays inside of these properties. You can nest it just like you can with any kind of MongoDB database, any kind of MongoDB data store. I mean, that's a better term. But all we care about right now is the name. So I've put several in there. You can actually run from the command line here. You can actually run the Mongo database. So if I say Meteor Mongo, then I'm here. What's the command? Anyone remember the Mongo commands to actually pull stuff out? It's db dot. Is it db dot collections? Okay, so db dot doomed dinos dot what, fetch. Find. That's right. Thank you. And there they are. And I see that people are having fun. Isn't that great? Beardsaurus, nice. There's not, but no, do you think he's Saurus, right? Yes, I just made a bad joke from Jurassic Park. So pretty cool, right? We're all sharing this app in real time, but it gets really cool when we go ahead and decide to display that data. So, and I'm going to use tables to do that. And I actually, you did get a little chuckle, but it's actually appropriate because tables, when people complain about tables, they're really complaining about using tables to position content on your page for layout. So I want a header, so I got a table here that's got spans all this stuff and my sidebar. But we're using tables to display tabular data. We're going to display a list of all the dinosaurs, and we're going to display how many votes they have. Now you'll note that the insert doesn't actually have a vote value on it. That's fine. It's MongoDB. It's a document-style database. It can deal with not having all the fields to define. Having all the fields defined, no big deal. But we are going to lay this out with tables because we're displaying tabular data. Totally appropriate. So I'm going to create a table. I am very tempted to copy and paste this code. How are we doing on time? Yeah, I can do it. I just don't want to bore you while you watch me type. So I'm going to create another template here called Dinos. And it's going to complain because that template doesn't exist. Now my app's broken. Probably shouldn't have saved at that point. Template name equals Dinos. There, it'll be happy now. And then I got a table. And I got T head. I have a T body. Oh, thank you. Excellent. And then in the head, I need to create a table row, table data, class equals. The main thing I have these notes for is so I get these classes right. Because then if I don't, my CSS doesn't work. I'm going to pull this down into another line so that you guys can actually read the code. This will be Dino, this is votes. So what we're going to do is we're going to vote on the dinosaurs and decide which ones we like the least. So this is going to be name, this is votes. And we should see that head come through already in the, there we go. And then we're going to go ahead and do the query. So for each dinos, now this doesn't exist yet, so I'm writing a little bit of code before, I'm writing the template before I have the code, and that's okay. We'll render a template called Dino. If there aren't any dinos, so the else clause in this particular case, so what this is going to do is it's going to go to template.dinos.dinos, because here's the template name, and this is the variable we're accessing the field from it. And it's going to iterate over each one. And for each dino it retrieves, it's going to render the dino template and pass in that dino. If there is nothing retrieved, then we're going to render some specific content for that. Which will not render right now. Oh, it did. Huh, why'd it do that? Oh, because I don't have I don't have any code written yet. So no dinosaurs were found because the code isn't actually implemented yet. So in here, I'll go ahead and create that template. Dinos. So this corresponds to the dinos template. .dino. That corresponds to the variable dinos. It's perhaps a little bit of overloading of the terms here. I probably could pick better names. But go to the function, and then this guy is going to return dinos.find. It's going to return all the found dinos. Actually, it's not, because I didn't create a template dino. Because this guy renders another template. So let's create that template. And this guy's job will create a table row. Table data. And this is going to be name. and votes. There we go. There's all the dinosaurs that were added. You guys have been busy, busy, busy. Center tag. Yeah. Where's Blink? Come on. Now, I'm adding it. Oh, someone did already. This web app is a dinosaur. Nice. Get out. So one of the things happening here is that these guys have no votes, and so it's not showing 0, it's showing nothing. That's because it's undefined. So we can add a little bit of code to solve that problem. So we can say, we can add an if statement inside of this table data and say, hash if votes, and undefined will be false, then display the votes. Else 0. And then close that if off. That should give us 0 for all of them. I'm not sure why it's not centered. Usually it centers, but I'm not going to worry about it. Oh, because class equals dino and class equals votes. Oh, yes, it was right justified. So now we're actually querying that data. Any questions so far? Am I going too slow or too fast? I'm probably going too slow because I got to type everything in. Okay. So that's inserting and reading data. That's very important. That's we got create and read, but we still need to update and delete. And so to do updating and deleting, we need to be able to select something. And so in addition to being able to store things in collections, we also have session data. So what we can do is when we click the table rows, we can update your session but no one else's. So let's do that. So the way we're going to do that is on this table row, we're going to have, and I'm going to cheat here a little bit on the code here, we're going to add a class to the row. And that class is going to be equal to the value of something that's rendered. And it's going to be it's going to be the value of selected. Oh wait, I did that in the wrong place. My apologies. I'm going to do it down here. So now we have a selected variable that we can add to our template. So we'll go in here to the Dino template. Template.dino.selected equals function. Yeah. No, actually in this case it is dino. So I want to, on each individual dino, so down here, we're actually on the dino template. On each individual dino, I want to select, thank you for calling that out, by the way. I want to select, determine whether it is the selected dinosaur or not. And so one of the things that happens here with Meteor is it loops through each dino, and it renders the dino template. It takes the ID of that dino and passes it in. We have that available to us. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the ID of that dino, and if you click on it, we're going to save it to the session. And then when the dinos are rendered, it's going to say, is this one in the set? Is this one selected? No. Is this one selected? No. Yes. And then it's going to highlight. It's going to add that class, which then will cause it to be highlighted. So I've got the HTML in place for that. And I need to add in here to selected, I basically need to read I need to return session.get. Or no, there's an equals, so session.equals. We'll use that. Selected Dino, so that's the session key, and that is equal to this dot underscore ID. And that is just a little bit of magic that says this record. Now that's going to be false for all of them because we don't have anything written yet. So we also need to write out to the session. So set template.dino.events. So when we click a table row, you need to do session.set selected dino this dot underscore ID. Let's see if that works. Now I should be able to click a dino. It's not working. Maybe. I think it's dino.event. Just click the table row. When I do, call this function. Let's try it. Is it highlighting up there? No. Okay, I'm going to cheat and look at my code that works. Session.set, selected dino, this dot, yeah, I did it right. Template.dino.events, that function. Do I have a typo? Did I spell dino wrong here? Maybe this code down here, maybe it doesn't like that carriage return there. Maybe that's the problem. No? What's that? No, it's just selecting anything that's a tag. That should be right. Am I doing the equals wrong? Oh yeah, I did. Okay, so. Oh yeah, that's what I did wrong. Yeah, thanks. So what I have to do in here is I have to actually, if this is equal, then this is going to return true or false. Then I need to return either selected or empty string. So it was selecting it, it just wasn't displaying it visually. Thank you. Yeah, see now it's highlighted. Is that showing up on the screen there? Okay, and you guys should be able to click different things as well. There's the empty one. All right. All right. Now I don't like the order that this is in, so I'm going to add a little bit of sorting to this find here, so these come out in a particular order, and I'm going to sort it by. And this is all MongoDB here. So if you're familiar with MongoDB, this will look familiar to you. I think this is kind of weird. Using an array of arrays. This always struck me as kind of an odd mechanism, but it's the way Mongo does it. And I want to sort it by votes. And I want that to be descending. And then I'm going to sort it by name. And I want that to be ascending. So the most hated comes first. If things are equally hated, then we go by alphabetical order. Exactly. First. Right? Yes, it is kind of like a chat client. And in fact, this would be really good for building real-time chat, because as you guys are all probably watching each other make changes and add things to the list, and I'm not seeing it because I got this tiny little window here. But it's a good. I mean, you can build Facebook. Think how easy it would be to build Facebook with this tool, right? You know, they got these live chat features and people post and stuff. You could probably build Facebook in a week. It'd probably be better too. Oh, I'm sorry, did I say that? I'm recording, right? So so I've adjusted the sort order. Let's see. So let's go ahead and do an update now. So now that we've actually got something selected in our session, we can then now add some features to vote for those things, and add some features to send the Meteor. And I'm going to go ahead and save you guys all the pain, and I'm going to copy and paste the code. So in the HTML here, I've got the hate and destroy buttons. Yes, hate and destroy. Yes, you did just see me use my mouse with VI. And then we'll go ahead and render that template here. And now we'll see that we have at the bottom here, we have hate and send the Meteor. And then so we can add to that template hate and destroy dot events. And we want to capture the hate button and the destroy button. So click, and it's probably hash hate. What did I put it in here as? I guess I have it in here, don't I? There's hash hate and hash destroy. And that will do something. And click destroy to do something. I feel compelled to line those up. Not a recommended practice, but not an unrecommended practice either. So when I hate a dinosaur, I need to uptick its vote. And the code over here for that is right here. And this is just a little bit of a little bit more Meteor foo. So I go ahead and you see here I read the session ID out from the selected dino, and then I call dinos.update. Dinos once again is that the Meteor collection, and there's a function built into MongoDB called increment, $inc. I just thought that was funny. It felt like corporate to me, you know. And then you can tell it the field and how much you want to increment it by. So I want to increment the votes field by 1. Pretty straightforward. If the votes field isn't there, which is what the case is going to be when you initially add this, because you might recall we didn't put the votes field in there, it is smart enough to say undefined is equivalent to 0. When I add 1, that means 1. So I don't have to do anything special to make that happen. And if we do that now, and you go to the app, getting first blanks. Did I miss a brace? Where is it at? What line? Right over here. Here's the brace there, there's that. Oh, I got an extra. That's what it is. Meteor server restarted. Reload that, sometimes it gets stuck. There we go. So now I can select one and hate it. And see, moves up to the top. And so as you guys start hating things, they start bubbling up to the top. Blink tag. Yay! Pretty cool, huh? And think about if you had to write all this code yourself to make this live update happen. I mean, you've watched me fumble through this for like the last 50 minutes. And I kind of know what I'm doing. But the point is that if you were to actually build all this plumbing, you'd spend weeks just building this plumbing. Meteor provides it all. I'm going to go ahead and add the send the Meteor so that we can start clearing out some of this stuff. Man, they really hate blink tags. Haters going to hate. So in here, I'm going to go ahead and widen this so you can see the code better. So here, what this does is I find one dinosaur using the find one command on the collection. And this is just means everything, no search parameters. I could do a find inside of these curly braces here and query anything I want. And then I sort it in the same way I sorted the other one. Arguably this bit of code here is redundant, I could pull it out. And then I pull the ID. So every single record that you add to MongoDB has an underscore ID field associated with it. This pulls it out. And then I assign that to this variable here. And then I call remove. And if you say remove ID, it removes that record. So now, when we click send the Meteor, someone want to click send the Meteor? There we go. And it starts killing the thing that was queried first. So the application is complete. We have but one thing left to do. And I'm going to go ahead and go back down here, foreground Meteor, and stop the server. There's a very sophisticated command there for stopping the server, as you see. It's Control-C. And I'm going to go ahead and push this code out to production. So that's going to be Meteor deploy killingdinos.meteor.com. I think that's the syntax. And it's a little slow. But this will, you can host your Meteor apps on Meteor.com. It's a playground, so don't do anything big there. The intention is just for you to be able to play around with stuff. But it's, you can actually deploy in production. It's uploading it now, and it should be good. Okay. And so if I'm going to go and expand this, and we're going to go out to killingdinos.meteor.com. And there it is. Old Scout books. I actually do Cub Scouts, so yeah. So that's what I got. Some things to check out if Meteor looks like something you want to get more involved in doing is I have been told by the Meteor team that 1.0 will be out real soon now. They're close. I don't think they've picked a specific date. But it's real soon now, like within a month or two. And I think they're planning some like a Meteor rollout parties in different cities. I think there's a Meteor meetup here in town, here in Louisville.
I hope they call Meteor showers.
They didn't call them Meteor showers, but that'd be fantastic, wouldn't it? So there's a JavaScript group here in town called JS Lou, which They keep trying to get me to come down and speak, and I want to. And I hope it's not on a weeknight because I live 4 hours away. Yes? That's you. Okay, we should talk afterwards. But the best resource online to understand Meteor.js is Meteor.com. And they have really thorough documentation online. They've done an excellent job. And explain how all the stuff works. Something else you might want to check out is Meteorite. Meteorite is basically Node package manager for Meteor. So if you have a Meteor package, you can add it to your application. And it provides a plugin. It's basically a plugin manager. And one plugin, how many of you guys have done backbone applications or Ember or Angular? So you know how you have your router so that you can actually have URLs, because it turns out single page applications aren't as useful as you'd think they'd be. The Iron Router is a plugin that you can install via Meteorite, which does a really good job of doing that. It's pretty straightforward, easy to use. It looks a lot like the one I saw demoed in Ember on Tuesday. So those are things to check out. Yeah, I think that's about it. Any questions?
Can you put the templates on the side?
Yes, yeah, you can split that HTML file up into each file. They could all be separate files, so each template could be in its own file. There are some rules on load ordering. It goes in alphabetical order, but then certain files are last. It favors subdirectories first. So if you have a subdirectory named A and a subdirectory named B and a root directory, A will be loaded, and all the things in that will be loaded in alphabetical order, then B in alphabetical order, and then the root. And then I think app.js and app.html are always loaded last. And then there's also a folder called client and a folder called server if you want to just put your client and server-side code in separate folders. And there's a public folder as well. If you've done any Sinatra, there's a place to put, like, you got a PNGs, image files, XML files, because you want to do XML. Just kidding. You know what Java is, by the way. It's a programming language that takes XML and turns it into stack traces. And I think Meteor as an application takes JSON and does that. But you can put any kind of static resources out there. So if you have static HTML that you want to just display, you got images you want to use, that kind of stuff. So, and lots of plugins. I got things working with Twitter in about 20 minutes, having never done it before. So, any other questions? Cool. Well, thank you very much. Hope it was useful.
Well, you're interested in getting a bootstrap topic.